What up, y'all? Welcome to Pics. It didn't happen. I am Fats King. I am joined as always by my brother, the Yeti. He's over there somewhere.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna actually make myself on the big screen like, boom. Now I'm huge. What up, y'all? We're back. It's gonna be an awesome show because we got all kinds of to talk about. And I think I'm not supposed to cuss for the first 15 seconds, and I probably already screwed that up. But whatever, we're back.
And the best part about all of that is you're the one that yells at me for cursing too much.
There's a 15-second rule, and I just learned about this. Apparently, you're like not supposed to. If you, after the first 15 seconds, you can, I guess, sprinkle a little bit. We still got to work on your restraint, but I guess that first 15 seconds is critical in YouTube land. So there you go.
Oh, we're doomed. Okay,
doom.
Without further ado, we have a special guest. If you have not learned about this motherfucker, he's straight out of Memphis. You want to say what's up, brother?
What up, y'all? It's the strange-ass Memphian, intricate and meticulous, SAMIAM, a.k.a. hashtag the kid with bare feet.
I was going to ask you to put it all out there, but you did it for us. Yeah, this
that's my intro. Every interview, that's my intro.
Hey, it's a good-ass intro. This is SAMIAM. This is a homie I linked up with at a Nasty Bash in person this year, but we'd met a few times, and he shared me some music, and he's been trying to actually get on the show for a hot minute, so I'm glad that we were finally able to. I can't believe it took you that fucking long. We ain't that big, but we've been trying to get you on for a minute, and I apologize, but shit happens. It is what it is. But now that we got you here, first before we start, I just want to say you are one of the newer names right now as far as like younger cats that I'd be telling people they need to listen to and who they need to pay attention to.
Much respect for that. Thank you. Word of mouth is always the best promotion, so I really do appreciate that, man.
Yeah, and so now that we got you here, and you've been dying to tell us your story, let's just fucking get into this. Who are you? Where are you from?
All right, so I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Obviously, I am a walking paradox because you grow up in Memphis, Tennessee, you have all that surroundings. I also had family out in the country, so you got that side of things. And I grew up listening to rock and roll. So you throw all those in a blender, and then you just it up, and you get me. I'm the genetic jackpot of being fucked from the start, though, because my mama is a saint, and my dad was batshit crazy. So I don't know how the fuck they, made me. But in regards to music has been kind of the essence of my being since I can remember. I was playing drums at like the age of 3 and really didn't start picking up on this hip hop shit till about 10 years ago when I first discovered the whole juggalo scene and all that. I mean, you hear 3-6 a lot growing up in Memphis and Project Pat and all that, but going to school with a public school in Memphis, you tend to hear all the trendy bullshit, So when I found ICP and all them, it was like a whole new universe opened up. As for who I am as a person, I like to refer to myself as everybody's homie because I'm that guy that if somebody needs to talk or if they're having issues, I'll sit and I'll kick it with you and I'll give some input if you want me to give input and just let you vent if you just need to vent. But really, I'm just, a cosmic soul making his way through this shitstorm we call life. And that's, we could be here for 2 hours if you want to hear the whole story, but, I ain't trying to take up all that time for sure.
We'll get around that. So you said you've been doing little musical shit since you was 3 playing drums and shit. Did you pursue that in school? Was there any part of that that's helped in the craft that you use now?
I was in the concert band in middle school. Rest in peace, Mr. Quinn, an absolute mentor. I was a percussionist because I did drums. I would occasionally write some, rock rhymes or whatever down because Linkin Park was one of my earliest influences anyway. But when it comes to school, I was the kid in the back of the class with the earbuds in, just not really giving a shit. And then when I got to high school is when I, looked like I was taking notes. I was jotting down whack ass lyrics because when you first start, everybody's whack when they first start. I don't give a fuck who you are. Everybody's whack when they first start. So I was, gradually had to do that.
That's strange because a lot of people will come out the gate telling you I'm the best motherfucker ever is, but to hear you say that, that's actually not something we hear very often on here.
Well, I try to keep it humble from my perspective and grounded. And just in my experience, everybody I've known that's gotten some level was not that level when they started at all.
Yeah, there's always you're always perfecting. You're always getting better. Right. If you think you're the best, then you've already missed out. So you said that you started young. At what actual age did you begin to actually start writing rhymes?
Writing or recording?
Both.
Okay, so I've been writing for 10 years now. So I was 13 going on 14. But I didn't start recording until very late fall 2016. And I didn't really even put anything out until January of 17. I started as a Juggalo rapper, went by the name CMOC, which is my legal last name backwards. First show was opening up for Twisted, sucked ass because, just didn't have stage presence or any real talent with the bars or nothing. Then I evolved myself and I changed my name to Joey Future, and that was my attempt at being, I don't want to say ghetto white boy rapper, just kind of average white rapper. And that didn't go anywhere. That got crucified for that. And then finally, after doing a little bit of soul searching, I just kind of found out I just want to be me. So SAMIAM, and then I put the acronym together because I've been a big Tech Nine and Cess Crew fan. They always do the rhyme and the acronyms.
Yeah.
So
hide messages right in front of you and shit.
Yeah, for sure.
So you started writing pretty young. What sort of prompted the switch to be flipped to actually start recording your stuff and not just sort of, putting them in a book and putting them away?
I just had no knowledge of how to do any of that. Also, my home situation wasn't where I could record at home unless I was by myself at home. But I had no knowledge of how to set anything up. I didn't have my own laptop, any of that shit. The first introduction I got into how to do all that was this vocational class when I was in the 11th grade, I think. And they send me to another high school that actually had a studio in it. And you go in there and learn about how to record and some of the basics and all that. So that was kind of my first way to get in. And that's when the teacher said, you might want to buy you a MacBook because it comes with GarageBand. You can start making beats or whatever. Some of my assignments were for me personally, like personal assignments, were to make a beat within a week. It didn't have to be gold or anything. You just wanted to see what I could come up with. So it was kind of that, okay, you're a hands-on learner. You've never had introduction to any kind of this knowledge. So here's what we're going to do type deal.
Now, you said that you were in the Memphis scene, and that's, like you said, there's a lot of country there. There's a lot of hip hop there. You come from an area that is, like, as you said, it literally is bred from music. You got music hall, fucking Elvis, it's all there. You had a real leg up that a lot of artists in other areas probably didn't really have, because there's even at the most preliminary level, you could find studios and shit like that where you're at because music is everywhere in Memphis.
Yeah, but here was my thing. I didn't know that studios like that existed until actually after the vocational class. I thought going to a studio meant spending thousands on thousands of dollars for time, which I'm from middle class families, we didn't have that shit. So I learned a lot way later as I had already dived into this adventure, and I've just been kind of expanding my knowledge since. Now, of course, other people who already knew about it, or grew up in the ghetto or whatever, they had all that access to that knowledge they've already known, because you got to hustle, make some money, and that I get that. I didn't grow up there. I grew up on the outskirts of, I don't even know which part of Memphis, honestly. It's by the penal farm. Anybody from Memphis that is listening or watching, that's where I grew up, Shelby Farms area. So like, I was kind of in the middle of everything. It was where a lot of because in Memphis we had school zones. A lot of the ghetto kids went there sometimes. They're 1 block away or 2 blocks away from my house was the biggest drug selling neighborhood at the time. But I didn't know that just because where I stayed wasn't like that. And so, I kind of got a quick knock on the ass into what life really is after hitting my teenage years and all that. I was very privileged as a child. I will be honest. For all the shit I did have to go through, I was also very privileged to not have to go through other shit. So it is what it is.
Did you release music first, or did you perform on the stage first? Like, what was the actual first one to happen?
Technically released. Before I knew anything about DistroKid or any of that, I used Bandcamp and didn't make much, but I had it out. SoundCloud was another one I think I used. But when it came to releasing it first.
Now, what was that like going on stage for the first time in front of a legitimate hostile crowd? Because that's all that happens out there.
It wasn't the crowd itself. It wasn't hostile because it was twisted. It was juggalos. So that was a blessing.
We could be just as hostile. You got lucky.
Oh no, trust me, I know. But for the most part, everybody understood. I think that I even think I said it when I first got on stage that this is like my first time ever doing this, like ever. I was already kind of used to doing some shows as a drummer because I was in a program called School of Rock, and that's what they do. But it was nerve-wracking. Like for me, these were my heroes, first off. And it was the scene that I felt I belonged in, but I kind of boxed myself in to be in that scene, and I didn't want to expand out and really find my true self. So it was nerve-wracking, and it was even worse. We had fuck-ups like one of the cords of the mic shot out of the mic and went across the stage, and I didn't have backing track. I didn't use backing track, so I had to run across the stage, get that plug. Just shit went wrong. Very wrong. But
I can tell you from having seen firsthand just recently, even at the top levels of this, there are still fuck ups because we watched a heavy hitter artist come out and his microphone not work for his entire performance.
Damn.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. So that's something that I feel like I want people who are on the younger side of this to understand is even the big dogs still have technical issues. There's just not much you can do about that.
Yeah, and sometimes you step in to the firework cannons that are embedded in the stage and roll your ankle and fall on your face.
I just kind of want to see that happen. I think that would be some funny shit, but I'm a horror.
It wasn't funny. Posty did it like a week before we went and saw him, and I was worried that he might not be able to go on, but he did.
Oh, you're
I want to see that happen in the mosh pit with Fats. I want to see somebody like be running towards him and then just the ankle roll.
I've been lucky enough to not break anybody's bones thus far. Not true. Me, SON.
Nasty.
Yeah, that was somebody else and me and somebody else. That wasn't just me. I only
partial credit.
Exactly.
He's not the main author.
Exactly. Right. I actually think that was more like SON because he got spun into him, but that's something whole nother. So you come off stage. You said you didn't really feel like you did as good as you wanted to, but was this when you maybe doubled down and decided that this is the future you want? Were you still trying to focus on other things, or the way we handle setbacks is the best way to see how we're going to continue in the future.
Well, here's the thing about that show. I was moving to Washington not the next day, but the day after with my, at the time, fiance. And yeah, it's what I'd wanted to do from like the age of 13. So I kind of was trying to make it work. But this point after the show is where I started doing some really stupid shit. Like not a whole lot of drugs or any of that. No, I started talking a lot of shit about the wrong people.
Whoa.
And I'm not talking about artists. I'm talking, I got blacklisted from half the venues in Memphis after my first show because my dumbass used to like to get on Facebook Live and talk that shit.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing you moved, across the country. So, I mean, that helps out. You can sort of get the mistakes out of the way a little bit. We
drove 4 days to get to Washington. It was in the hotels on the road where I was talking this shit. And then, the guy called me the day we got to Washington, and I was talking with him, and I told him what my frustrations, and I don't even think we're still on good ground because another situation happened after I moved back to Memphis with the divorce and all that shit. But I've done a lot of stupid shit at a very young age that has put a lot of roadblocks in my career as a musician.
Yeah. That's something you young guys definitely need to consider. Your early choices, they affect what future choices you're going to have. It's going to limit the places you can and can't go. So, consider what you're saying because the internet's forever and they'll dig it up.
And watch running your mouth on social media. That's such a pit that people fall into.
Oh, I got crucified, bro. I got crucified by someone I considered a brother and still do to this day, even though he's stopped doing music. The diss track and the posts, I got crucified. That's why Joey Future had to die. And SAMIAM. Oh, okay. He died. So I was dead.
after we've gotten through the two preliminary, like the beginnings of who you are. Now we're getting to SAMIAM. What was your first choices to really tighten everything up to get you to where you are now?
Here's the thing. When I became SAMIAM, I wanted to try a whole new genre, so I started doing the hip hop country rap shit, and I don't think I've released any of the music I've done from that. And then
that's a hot scene, and right now it's kind of popular.
Yeah, no, I still got love for people in it, but then my dad died, and then I became homeless, and then somehow I wound up in Job Corps. Through this whole process, I was just writing. I'd go to this bar next door to where I was staying and do it. I just would write, and they knew me. Like I became a local to the bar. I didn't get to really start doing anything towards building SAMIAM until fucking COVID hit, and that's when I just jumped on it and went. Ran through whatever. I would go out to the shed in the backyard with my mic and my computer and recording that motherfucker. And, it wasn't as good as it is now. I didn't pay for mixing and mastering until literally the last album I put out. So I was kind of developing my style, developing my skills, smoking a lot of weed, doing a lot of dumb shit during COVID, working at FedEx, dealing with that shit, and while living at my mom's house. So I didn't really get to branch out until these last 2 years when I moved out here to Nashville. And I moved out here to go to audio engineering school, and I just kind of, we'd go to dinner. It was a night class, and while everybody was on dinner, I just started recording. Like I would record songs, and that's how you got the Maverick album.
Which I have, and it is good.
Thank you, sir. And then after I put that out, I had like a mental break. And this is leading up to Nasty Bash because this is last year. This is just things have been weird timeline wise. I was going to be done because I had writer's block so bad that I couldn't think up lines because I was stressed out from working at Walmart. Fuck that place. Fuck Netravon and a boss. I don't give a fuck if they see this and I get banned from Walmart. Go fuck yourself. Anyway, after that writer's block, I'd already paid to be on Nasty Bash, so I was like, all right, I'll do some older stuff, Maverick, whatever. And then Nasty Bash happened, and
for those that don't know, Nasty Bash is the yearly show put on by a longtime friend of the show, and he's the name's Nasty Inc. If you don't know about rehab music, you should get learned. But it's a yearly show. It usually takes place at Carl's Tavern, which we've talked about so many fucking times. Is one of my favorite venues.
Best wings on the planet.
Best wings on the planet. You should check out the venue. You should check out the show every year. Nasty Bash. The next year will be Nasty Bash 7 because the one he's talking about was Nasty Bash 6. This is where he and I made our proper personal acquaintances.
First time in person meeting. Great time. Real quick, you said something about rehab. I am signed to Rehab Music. That was a big accomplishment for me as well, and that's kind of given me the newer motivation to keep going. But yeah, Nasty Bash happened, and I came back to life. Like literally, I felt my spirit re-enter my body. Particularly during Zitro's set, just some of the songs he did just kind of got me back where I needed to be. So Nasty Bash was a literal lifesaver for me.
Yeah, what we were talking about before at the beginning of this, he seems kind of soft-spoken and kind of meek, but when you put a mic in this boy's hands, holy shit, he's 10 feet tall. Where did you find, because you talked about it, there's the difference between who you are now and where you are. Where do you find that confidence? Because it sounds like you didn't bring that to the stage beforehand until just recently.
I didn't. I got up there and did the first song at Nasty Bash and was shaky as fuck because I didn't know how it would go over with the audience. And, I kind of got into it. Then the second song happened, and then particularly I saw your reaction, the second verse. And then after that, I realized, okay, I just blew everybody's mind. Now let me swing this dick right quick. And that's when I said the shit about how many of y'all doubted me when I hopped up on this stage, and I just blew your fucking mind just a little bit. And from there, it just juggernauted.
Don't ever lose that, because that is how you walk in and steal a whole fucking room of people. Plain and simple.
Yeah, and then I saw Pope Adrian Bless's set, and I was like, okay, I gotta get to that level. Cause
there's a reason why I call him the showstopper. I feel bad for anybody that has to perform after that man, because he steals every bit of energy from the room.
Well, if you watch, I reshared the video from the end of his set. I think you're the one that had posted it. After he says his name, his introduction about the man, the myth, the icon, the war machine.
Yeah, God.
I don't know if anybody watches the video will see it, but I saw a literal spirit exit this man's body and just go off into the crowd, and he was back to being normal Pope, not on stage Pope. So it was like, wow.
Do you think there's any way you can practice that? Is there anything you can do to make that better? What do you do when you're not on stage to make that performance bigger? How do you prepare for that? You guys doing cardio in the gym and shit? Like, I've always wondered how much work it takes to put on a kind of performance on that level.
Well, here's the thing. For Nasty Bash, I had stopped smoking cigarettes. And,
good idea. Cigarettes are gay.
Well, I'm back on them, so fuck you. But, no, like I was going to I was trying to be an actual healthy person. Like all I was eating was those meal prep things. and hitting the gym and doing cardio because I didn't know how fucked my lungs were or whatever. And then, it just kind of happened. There was no real process for how I prepared. I practiced my set, and I figured, well, if I fuck up, at least I got backing tracks. I'll just keep going. Something awakened in me when I heard that crowd after the second song. It was not planned to be, this. No, it was. I was just gonna run through my shit, and get off stage. The crowd.
Don't do that.
The crowd brought that thing to life, and now my confidence performing is up. And I kind of plan, like, for example, I got a show coming up, opening for Twisted. We'll get to that in a minute.
Well, that's really full circle too. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I was about to say, we'll get to that in a minute. But, like, for example, my best friend Donnie's coming, and it'll be his birthday. So I'm like, okay, I could talk about Donnie. And I got other buddies coming. I could talk about them. I could talk about this, had this 6-year, to get here moment on a stage that Johnny Cash has played on. It's that kind of, okay, I think about the things. I don't necessarily rehearse what I'm going to say. I do say something to myself to repeat it, to just kind of keep it in my head, but I don't.
Do you perform your tracks? Do you perform your tracks like when you're not on stage to learn your words better, or do you just know that shit?
I do a couple of test rehearsals if I can get to the studio and there's a space available for me to use the actual speakers, not just my headphones. I'll walk everywhere since I don't have a license, and when I'm walking, I'll be practicing just the words just to kind of keep them in my head, especially with this show because there are 2 new songs that I haven't. Well, one new song that's brand new, ain't even out yet, that I'm gonna be debuting, and one that I used to do a couple times at a couple shows. So it's got a lot of the flow shit. So it's just keeping that iron sword sharpened a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So after Nasty Bash, you went back home. How long was it until you got picked up on rehab?
Maybe we started talking about it, I think, like 3 nights after the show. Basically, from my understanding, what happened was Josh had already wanted me on rehab. Nasty already wanted me on rehab. Like, before I came to Nasty Bash, he had told me there was a spot for me on it because he believed in me as an artist. But basically, after Mephistopheles came to life on stage,
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Basically, after that came to life, everybody that was there for rehab that saw my set kind of pounded down Nasty's door and were like, you need to sign this motherfucker. And so we started talking about it, and I wanted to make it the announcement on the day. I ended up making it because the day was 111222. I'm very big on numbers and shit like that. So that just seemed like the perfect energy, vibration, whatever the fuck that is, to do it. And for me, it was such an accomplishment because, at a time, I probably would have wanted to sign to, let's just say, big underground labels. No names mentioned, but
Oh.
Now, for me, it's more about just doing it with people that I know and respect as close homies and that have gotten to a level and can teach me things. It's not so much about money for me. I'm not trying to get famous. I'm not. I don't want that shit. I just want to make an impact in the underground, and then at whatever age I decide to stop, just kind of go to a trailer in the middle of nowhere and kick my feet up and say, "Fuck it, I've done everything that I set out to do."
Well, I mean, it's a solid plan, and I mean that kind of puts a nice little bow on the career plan. Thanks for lining out the retirement plan. Any 401k advice? No, don't do that. We will
do not
crucified.
Ask me for money. I am in debt.
That is great, solid financial advice that we can get behind.
Everyone is in debt. If you are not in debt, then you you don't exist.
Well, if
Debt
you're
is what
not
keeps us alive.
if you're not in debt, you're doing it wrong too, apparently. So, and even if you're in debt, you're probably doing it wrong as well, because there's a
Which
right
makes
way
no
to debt.
Makes
Which
no
was part of
fucking
my
sense
stress.
whatsoever.
Right.
Which is and part of my
Um,
stress for my life is because my dad had financial issues. My goal was to never, ever, ever end up in debt, and I'm not as bad as he was, but yeah, I ended up in debt.
Yeah, it's a pretty big goal to go through life completely without it. Before we do wrap everything up, I want to talk a little bit about more, I guess, about home and pop culture stemming from that. The first thing that I think is imperative to bring up is Justin Timberlake, well known being from Memphis, and actually, I think part owner of a sports team in Memphis. What are your thoughts on JT and his pop stardom there?
Good for him.
I thought
They're
he was
only
from
a-
Florida.
Hell no. There's only like 2 or 3 songs I really listen to him on a regular basis or whatever. I'm not big into pop.
So he did do some acting. I guess that's really the big thing. Like I always wanted to hate him.
I did enjoy his acting. I did enjoy his acting.
I always wanted to hate him. I was like, he's just a pop singer. He's gonna be terrible. And then he kept making movies, and they kept being good, and it kind of made me upset. And just had to be okay with that, I guess. The other thing I kind of want to mention, I love the Ninja Turtles, and they're all over behind me. So, what do you think about the upcoming iteration of Turtles we're gonna get from Seth Rogen? It does have a star-studded voice cast.
I'm intrigued. Jackie Chan is Splinter. Had my attention. I didn't like the design. They showed what he looks like. I don't know why he's got like the hair thing, but I can overlook it. I'm intrigued for it a lot.
Has anyone said what this is going to be rated? Are they shooting for a PG-13 or are they going to go for younger?
It seems like it's aimed at younger kids. It's probably going to.
Does it really matter these days?
I mean, who knows what's acceptable?
One of my favorite things about that is when I looked up who plays the Turtles, I don't know any of them from anything
at all.
I'm kind of intrigued by this.
From what I've understood when I was doing the same, I was looking through it and like all the bad guys and all the side characters, I'm like, oh, I know those people. That's awesome. They got to get somebody great for the Turtles. And it's like a bunch of younger people. Apparently, those are really big names. If you're like preteen, early teen, like you know who those people are.
Yeah,
and
we don't.
We're old
because we're decades old.
And my kids are beyond that age, so I got nothing for feedback.
I mean, I'm only 23, but I did grow up watching the OG Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
I have 2 sisters that were born in the 80s. I am blessed when it comes to pop culture, and one of them's a hippie. So, like, but yeah, pop culture shit, man. Like, let me say this too. To talk about my influences, there's obviously the Twisted, Tech Nine, all that. My dad, when I was like 2, from the time I was 2, I should say, raised me on Rush and Tom Petty.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to see Rush twice. Twice I got to see Rush. I've seen Bob Seger live. You know, like my musical range it's so fucking eclectic, dude.
My dad was big into the 80s hair metal, pretty into that. My mother was big into country. Billy Ray Cyrus, big fan of that guy and his achy breaky heart.
My mom listened to Heart and Neil McCoy.
My mom went from country, at least in my lifetime, from country to like the normal radio station, whatever they were playing, and then she got into the whole K-Love Christian radio, and good for her, whatever, that's her thing.
How does your mom feel about your career choice?
She's not against me doing it. She just doesn't like some of the financial choices I make. And she doesn't particularly like okay, quick story. 2013, when I first became a juggalo, first discovered ICP, my mom and I went to war because she tried to ban me from listening to any of that scene because of the
bad idea,
the legal situations with ICP, all that that's going on. it caused me to rebel more. And but it was also a blessing because that's how I found Tech Nine. That's how I found Cottonmouth. Well, I knew about Cottonmouth Kings, but really got into Cottonmouth Kings. It's how I found so many things. Jelly Roll. So it stemmed this. When I say it opened a whole new universe, it literally did, because I was the kid that just kind of listened to the radio and preferred the rock station. Now I have,
Can I say something that's very ironic about that? She wanted to keep you away from the fat, fake white serial killers, and she pushed you toward the actual legitimate dope dealers.
Well, here's the thing about my mom. As much as I love her, she is the ideal citizen for, our overlords. Trust the government. She trusts, all that shit. Doesn't think any of this stuff really happened, the crazy shit. She doesn't drink. She doesn't do weed. She's never done weed. Never done a hard drug in her life. She's very clean, good, ideal citizen. But I was born with this thing called oppositional defiance disorder, so I've been odd since birth, and rebel.
Nope, I understand that too. Now, before we actually let you go, you said that you were about to be on stage with in front of Twisted again.
Yeah.
If you could tell them anything, because I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to them right now yet or not, before now and then, if you could tell them anything about where you've come from, who you were then to who you are now, what would it be?
That the past 6 years of my life has led to this moment. Literally. Because for my music career, it wasn't about achieving a certain status. It was about overcoming and redeeming. People who had lost respect for me, a lot of them came back around when I started doing SAMIAM and really started improving myself. So this is the last, and this is the last thing I have to finish this chapter of where I'm at, because it started here on stage. I've not played a big time show besides Nasty Bash since. This is my WrestleMania moment. And that's why, when I made the post, I said, anybody who has heard me, that supports me, please, even if you've seen the tour, please come see this. Because this is not just me getting to see Loaded for the first time. This is April 27th at the Exit Inn, Nashville, Tennessee.
Nice.
Tickets are on sale. I've been promoting it. Come out, have a good time.
And where can they find you on all of the social medias?
On Instagram, which I barely use, it's at SAMIAM Music. One word. Music is MUZICK. For my Facebook, I just use my normal Facebook. Samuel Wheatley. If you want to friend me, I'll consider it. YouTube,
smart decision.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Loki. I don't do it. If your shit has Juggalo University or any of that shit, no, just no. I've dealt with too many of you assholes. No,
I also declined. I also declined Church of the Dark Carnival, works for himself, scratching his nuts, and various other forms of such.
Yes. If it was a line in a clown song, no thank you.
God,
and that's nothing against acts that are inspired by it or anything. I'm talking about normal juggalos and shit. If your shit has any of that shit, just don't.
It just takes too much energy to do that every day, all day long.
I myself no longer really consider myself a juggalo because of how that shit all turned out. Because the message of what I got into it for is no longer the message of what it is.
But we could soapbox about this for hours, so let's not.
No.
Yeah,
but to finish off, you can find my official YouTube. It's at SAMIAM Official. If you're looking at the little @ mention thing, the number's 102. That's just what they gave me. So SAMIAM Official 102. Or you could just look up SAMIAM Don't Compare Me music video, and that's me.
Yeah.
Simple. But yeah, that's about all. I don't do Snapchat. I don't do Twitter. I don't do so. I'm actually trying to get off of social media, really. So, if you're coming to support, please do. But if I'm not on there or active, don't start hitting me up like, man, you're never on here. Fuck you. I've got a life. I got mental problems. I spent the first part of this year in a mental hospital and going to outpatient therapy. Go fuck yourself if you're coming to me with that shit.
Yeah.
Now,
let this man be, unless you're buying an album or a T-shirt. You can find
or
us,
sending supportive messages.
that helps too. You can find us at Picture Didn't Happen on everything. Picture Didn't Happen official for Instagram. You can find me at Fats King if you care. He's a regular person. You're not going to find him.
No.
You don't know how long it took me to get in touch with him.
That's right.
In the future, I will be at the Super Show coming up this Saturday. I do not know if you will be or not. If you will, it's a big surprise. If not, we'll find out. As of right now, I will be there. You come up, say what's up. I will be hosting Tooth Fest with my homie Scotty Vance, May 27th. That'll be at Carl's Tavern. That's the homie Toothache's birthday. And the Thursday before Camp Zool, I will be hosting Camp Zool Day 0. That'll be just moi. You can hear me and my velvety sweet baritone. Until then, motherfuckers. There's the camera. Peace.
We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Later, y'all.
Pics, or it didn't happen. Pics, or it didn't happen.